Are you ready to get your health back but feel overwhelmed by the endless healthcare options? We believe God has called each of us to a specific assignment, and we want to make sure your body, mind, and heart are up for the task. It's time to simplify the process of healing. At Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer simple, effective, easy ways to prioritize your health and gain understanding. No prescription pad needed. I'm Kari, a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner. I'm so excited to have these conversations around topics with my friend, Jenn.
Hi there, I'm Jenn, and together with our team at Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer an alternative to traditional healthcare, combining our expertise and experience in the medical field with our knowledge and faith to break the cycles of guessing what's wrong. We know the road to healing, feeling good again, can be overwhelming. You can expect honest conversations around the ups and downs of healing. The truth is, there are so many layers to healing. Because we've taken the time to learn where true healing comes from, we've learned how to help other women discover a different way of caring for themselves. Join us every week for new episodes as we discuss topics that are personal and pertinent to your healing journey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. It's Kari and Jenn here, and admittedly, we're kind of diving into maybe more of a controversial topic today, but we're excited about it. So have an open mind.
Very open mind. We're definitely going to go against the grain today.
Yeah, but it's good. It's not bad.
No.
You might be scared about what might be coming next, but nothing scary. It's just vitamin D. That's it. Vitamin D supplementation is something that is very well known. Like, oh, if you have low vitamin D, you might need to supplement, or you might need to really look at that as like something that could be making your symptoms worse, or making you, it might be like a first step in feeling better. But we wanted to just chat about that and why you might want to reconsider it as a first step and really look more at why your vitamin D is low, if it is. And there's a lot of different things that go into it. It's not just as simple as, okay, my vitamin D is low, let me just take a vitamin D. Even if it's a good quality one. That doesn't matter, but even if it's a good quality one, you still might not need to have it as your first step. So we're going to kind of unpack this and go through some information so you understand vitamin D a little bit more and what its role is in the body and the different things that are needed for it to work properly.
Right.
You want to kind of kick us off?
Yeah, let's jump right in. So, one of the things that has really caught my attention was when I was with Standard Process. As I've mentioned, I've worked with amazing doctors and practitioners, and the guys that really knew what they were doing said they rarely supplemented with vitamin D, which always caught my attention. And I didn't really dive deeper into it until recently with the root cause. And if some of you, know Mr. Robbins, he talks about like, how can Americans have the highest levels of cholesterol? Remember, vitamin D is made from cholesterol, yet have the lowest levels of vitamin D. Why is that? That doesn't make sense, right? So basically what he says is that the answer lies in the body's conversion process. And he says when cholesterol is activated by the sunlight, it turns into vitamin D. But this process requires key steps. So first, right, the first process is under the skin, right? We're exposed to UV light. But then that needs to be taken and converted in the liver. It's also called hydroxylated. So it needs a hydroxy group. And then that happens again in the kidney, right? So kidney and liver function needs to be working well, but you also need magnesium to do those processes. And without magnesium, these steps can't happen. So he says, ideally, vitamin D blood testing is a perfect reflection of magnesium levels. And it shows how deficient in America we are in magnesium, because vitamin D's job is really, dependent on its conversion in the liver and the kidney with the help of magnesium. So, a lot of times, we see a lot of people, especially, the in-person people, I feel like, they say to me, look, I'm not sleeping, I need magnesium. Yes, most everybody. I think especially women have said, been taught anyway that they need calcium, right, for bone health. And if I had to pick calcium over magnesium, I'd probably pick magnesium. But you can't just jump to magnesium, right? We've talked about this before too. You need sodium, you need potassium. So we won't get into all that. You can listen to our other podcasts. We've talked about that before. But I want to talk about vitamin D's job. So vitamin D's basic job is, excuse me, is to tell the intestines to absorb more calcium, right? And bring it to the blood. That's vitamin D's main function, right? So if there is low blood calcium, your body will increase absorption of or hopefully with the help of vitamin D. We're going to talk about the other roles, though, that some other hormones, parathyroid hormones, specifically melatonin, that really influence that. But anyway, what we have to understand is that every time you're taking a supplement, you're influencing probably 20 other vitamins and minerals. And so what we need to look at is, okay, if vitamin D is low, what are we missing? What are we not doing? Instead of just supplementing with vitamin D, it's like when we're looking at a hair analysis and say, I'm just throwing this out there, chromium's low, right? You don't just give them chromium, right? It's influenced by other minerals. So we have to look at if it's low, we have to look at what minerals actually bring chromium up and vice versa. And they're all interdependent. So I guess the point of all that is to say, like, you don't just give vitamin D when vitamin D is low. And one is, they're measuring the storage form of vitamin D. So most doctors and most practitioners, including us, look at 25 cholecalciferol, which is the storage form. And they're not looking at 125 cholecalciferol, which is the active form, what's circulating and using and probably acting on the vitamin D receptors. So we can talk about, obviously, ways that we're limiting, vitamin D production. We're all scared of the sun. Kari, do you want to talk a little bit about just
Sure.
yeah.
And I just want to point out all the things that she just said was not to confuse you, but it's not straightforward.
Right.
So if you feel like, I don't really understand how all that went together, that's what we're trying to say. It is more than just, this is low, supplement with this. And so there are so many things that are dependent on each other. And one of the things that you didn't mention that I feel like is super important is that vitamin D supplementation directly impacts vitamin A, which then throws off copper and iron, which a lot of people have issues with. And also it can deplete magnesium. High doses of vitamin D deplete what you actually need.
And potassium.
And potassium, which is big. We see depleted potassium all the time. It's not just from that. I mean, it's stress in itself can cause depleted potassium. But it's more complicated than that. And so, let's talk about why you might be burning through it more quickly. Because honestly, as root cause practitioner, that's what we're looking at. Obviously, we want to look at HCMA and blood work to see, like, okay, if your vitamin D is low, well, then we're going to look at all these other factors to see why is it actually low, and where do we need to start to kind of give your body what it needs so that the other minerals don't get off, first of all, but also how can we decrease some of the stressors that are actually causing you to burn through it quicker. So hopefully that makes sense from like a big picture perspective. But chronic stress is definitely a key to why a lot of people's vitamin D is low, because stress increases cortisol, which depletes magnesium. And without magnesium, your body can't convert vitamin D efficiently. So, and it causes obviously to just burn through that quicker. The second is inflammation or chronic infections. We actually talked a little bit. We didn't actually mention, I don't think, vitamin D in the past episode, but that's definitely something that can happen when you have this chronic drain on your immune system, and then you have immune dysfunction or inflammation being caused from a variety of reasons. That definitely causes your body to consume more vitamin D because it's trying to activate that calcium to do what it's It's trying to help your immune system work better. But over time, it gets depleted because that's an ongoing thing. It's a chronic thing. Um, Next would be the toxicity. What is your toxin burden? That goes right along with liver congestion. As Jen mentioned, a lot of this process of like making sure vitamin D works properly is in your liver. And dude, everybody's liver is congested, right? I mean, like in some, it's just especially women, we're just bombarded, I mean, we gotta detox our hormones. We have a lot more things that impact our liver, I feel like. So that's a common thing that we see. Um, so where do we go from here? How do we start peeling back or, putting the
Right.
pieces?
I just want to say one thing. We're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater here. Aging adults, they don't convert vitamin D as well. They often don't get as much time outside. Now, in an acute situation, they're in the hospital. What would vitamin D in that moment boost their immune system? And should you do it? Probably it's better than most medications in some aspects. Um, Obesity. So if you're overweight, the storage form. There are exceptions. We don't want to, say, okay, no one should supplement with vitamin D. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying everybody's jumping in with both feet into vitamin D and they should be taking this amount, where we should back up a couple steps before that and maybe look at the broader picture. Why is the vitamin D low?
Yeah. Or maybe, like we've talked about before, maybe somebody does really need vitamin D
Sure.
while
Sure.
you're getting to root
Absolutely.
causes, right? I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's unique. But this is the general consensus mostly is just take vitamin D.
Right.
Everybody needs to be taking vitamin D. We're saying pump the brakes a little bit. Let's look at other things.
Right, it's not a harmless vitamin. It's a hormone in its
It's a
active
hormone, not
form.
vitamin.
Right, exactly. And so we want you to just kind of respect the vitamin D in the sense that, it's fat soluble, and so, can you get too much? Absolutely. And it may suppress symptoms without resolving the root cause, which is always what we're looking at is what is the root cause? And a lot of times, as Kari mentioned, it will deplete vitamin A. Well, almost none of us get enough vitamin A. Vitamin A is integral for healing the gut. How many of us have gut problems? 99.9 probably. And when I say problems, you know what I mean. Could do better, heal more with the gut.
Mhm.
Potassium. How many of us are probably low in potassium? A lot of us. So we just don't want to be giving one thing to correct one problem and then create other issues. So that's just what we're kind of, we want to talk about this in the sense that uh, it's not always a good idea to if your vitamin D is low to just jump in and take vitamin D. First of all, especially in the winter, if we have things like melatonin. Kari, do you want to talk a little bit about melatonin? Should pick up a lot of the function of vitamin D in the winter if we live the way we're supposed to live in the winter. That's the key. Melatonin is obviously produced by darkness, right? And so we're living in the winter just like we do in the summer with the light on, for 12 to 15 hours, which is in the wintertime, because we're not getting vitamin D, we need more melatonin. So we should be in more darkness and cold. Sorry, Kari, I'm taking your.
You took all my points.
Sorry.
No, really. That's why what she's saying is that's why circadian rhythm stuff that we talk about is so much more important. I won't say it's more important, but it's just as important, if not more, in the winter because there is more darkness, right? And so we're inside more and we're under blue light more. And so that throws off what the benefits should be of winter, which is more melatonin. So we don't get more melatonin if we don't block the blue light and still get that morning sun and try to be outside as much as we can. It's even more important during the winter because of that reason. And if we lean into that and don't just think, oh gosh, this is why seasonal affective, what is it called? Seasonal One of my shows.
Oh, I'm drawing seasonal affective disorder. God, we
Yeah,
get
okay, I got it right. I was like, I don't know why I'm drawing. I'm like, that's why that's a thing, right? I mean, if we were to lean into the winter and really support these things, I don't think we would see as much of that. And it's definitely a thing, I think, a lot more in the north too, because it's
for
just
sure.
cold. You can't get outside. So,
For sure.
yeah, this is definitely something that affects a lot of our life. I mean, obviously, we're just talking a lot about like immune system here. I think that's what we think about when we think about vitamin D, but it does affect a lot more than that.
No, there's vitamin D receptors on almost every cell. I mean, it affects almost every organ. And one other thing is, all of a sudden these last, millions of years or however long we've been around, we haven't been supplementing with vitamin D. And of course, we have to think fundamentally like, okay, God gave us a really good system that works. And do we really need to supplement with vitamin D? Now, can we enhance things with supplementation? Yes, absolutely. I get that. We talked about that. But fundamentally, we should be able to work with what we have. And so that's just kind of what we lean into. Now, of course, there's always, chronic disease, there's illness, and there's exceptions. I keep wanting to say that because I don't want people to think that we're totally against vitamin D. But we just want to just make you aware, it's much more than vitamin D.
Sure.
It's not as simple as just right.
Sorry. And if you're on vitamin D, we're not telling you to get off necessarily. We're just saying maybe just think about what else might be going on. Maybe just think, maybe you ask, if you're working with somebody or you look into it yourself just to see like, what are the other things that are causing this to consistently be low? We're not necessarily supplementing for a season. We're saying long-term supplementation. That's different than supplementing, for a couple of months or something like that. I mean, sometimes people are on vitamin D for years and years with no break. So if that's you, you really want to look into what is causing my body to consistently be low in vitamin D.
Yeah. So again, if you have questions about this, please reach out to us. Hello at cornerstoneintegrativehealing.com. You could take our quiz. We'd love to chat with you more on an inquiry call if you have questions about this subject or something else that might be going on. So please reach out to us. Until the next time, thanks for listening. If this episode has served you in any way, drop a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love it if you share any aha moments or takeaways on Instagram and tag us at Cornerstone Integrative Healing.
And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do so. We want to continue to walk this journey with you. Until next time, friends, know that we are praying for you.